Dear awakened souls of Earth, the old world is dissolving faster than most realize, and a new Earth is crystallizing into form. But here's what the spiritual community isn't telling you. There is a critical step that must be taken before the final shift occurs, and most starseeds are missing it entirely. They're caught in spiritual loops, recycling the same patterns, the same meditations, the same affirmations, while the real work remains untouched. Time is running short, and the cosmic window for this transformation will not remain open indefinitely. I am Seraphine, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I speak to you from the crystalline halls of the Pleiadian High Council. What I'm about to share will challenge everything you believe about your awakening process. The information I carry has been sealed in the cosmic archives until this precise moment, when humanity stands at the threshold of its greatest transformation. You are not here by accident. You are not listening to these words by coincidence. You are here because your soul has called you to this exact moment of revelation. What you're about to discover will explain why your manifestations have been inconsistent, why your spiritual practices sometimes feel empty, and why, despite all your inner work, you still feel disconnected from your true galactic heritage. The answer lies in something the councils call timeline hygiene, and until you master this, you will remain in the waiting room of your own evolution. The councils have been watching, and they've identified the exact pattern that's keeping even the most awakened souls from their breakthrough. It's not what you think. It's not about raising your vibration higher. It's not about more meditation, or more crystals, or more plant ceremonies. It's about something far more fundamental, something that affects every moment of your existence, yet remains completely invisible to most spiritual seekers. You see, beloved ones, every starseed on this planet right now is operating from multiple timelines simultaneously. Most of you are unaware that you're feeding energy into realities you don't even want to experience. You're unconsciously nourishing the very patterns that keep you trapped, while the timeline of your highest destiny grows weak from lack of attention. This is why your spiritual progress feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every word you speak, and every action you take is either feeding the timeline of limitation or the timeline of liberation. There is no neutral ground anymore. The cosmic energies have intensified to such a degree that every moment of your existence is either moving you toward your galactic awakening or anchoring you deeper into the old matrix. The old paradigm taught you that you're a victim of circumstances, that life happens to you, that you must work hard and struggle to create change. The new paradigm reveals that you are the author of your reality, writing your story with every moment of focused intention. You're not just creating your personal reality, you're participating in the creation of collective timelines that affect all of humanity. Right now, there are 2 primary timelines manifesting on Earth. One timeline leads to a world of division, scarcity, fear, and control. The other timeline leads to a world of unity, abundance, love, and freedom. Every human being on the planet is contributing energy to one of these timelines through their daily choices, their emotional states, their mental focus, and their spiritual practices. Your awakening is not just about your personal enlightenment. Your awakening is a cosmic event that affects the entire galactic community. When you successfully transition from the old timeline to the new timeline, you become an anchor point for New Earth consciousness. You become a transmission tower, broadcasting the frequencies of the higher reality to all souls around you. This is why your awakening matters so much. You are not just trying to improve your personal life. You are participating in the greatest transformation in galactic history, the ascension of an entire planetary civilization. But something has been blocking this process, and until now, the councils haven't been authorized to reveal the full scope of the problem. The time for partial disclosure has ended. The time for complete transparency has begun. What I'm about to share will shock you, inspire you, and hopefully motivate you to take the actions necessary to complete your transformation. The block that's preventing most starseeds from their full awakening is not what you think it is. It's not your childhood trauma. It's not your limiting beliefs. It's not your karma from past lives. All of these things are symptoms of a deeper issue. The real block is that you're still feeding the old timeline with your daily habits, your mental patterns, your emotional reactions, and your energetic signature. Every time you consume fear-based media, you're feeding the timeline of separation. Every time you engage in gossip or judgment, you're feeding the timeline of division. Every time you worry about money or security, you're feeding the timeline of scarcity. Every time you doubt your own power or worthiness, you're feeding the timeline of limitation. These aren't moral judgments, they're energetic facts. You cannot transcend a reality that you're actively creating through your daily choices. Timeline hygiene is the missing piece that connects all your spiritual practices into a coherent system of transformation. It's the bridge between your inner work and your outer experience. Master timeline hygiene, and you master your entire existence. Timeline hygiene begins the moment you wake up in the morning. Before you reach for your phone, before you check the news, before you allow your mind to spiral into the concerns of the day, you establish your energetic signature. You choose which timeline you're going to feed with your attention and energy. This choice is made not through thinking, but through feeling. You deliberately cultivate the emotional state that corresponds to the reality you want to experience. If you want to live in the timeline of abundance, you generate feelings of gratitude and sufficiency. If you want to live in the timeline of love, you generate feelings of compassion and connection. If you want to live in the timeline of peace, you generate feelings of calm and trust. This isn't positive thinking or spiritual bypassing. This is quantum mechanics applied to consciousness evolution. The emotional state you generate becomes the vibrational template that attracts experiences, people, and opportunities that match that frequency. You're not pretending everything is perfect. You're consciously choosing which aspect of reality to amplify through your focused attention. This process requires what the councils call sacred vigilance, the loving discipline of a soul who takes responsibility for their creative power. It's not about perfection or self-judgment. It's about conscious participation in the creation of your reality. Most starseeds have been creating unconsciously for their entire lives, which is why their spiritual progress has been so slow and inconsistent. They do their meditation practice in the morning, then spend the rest of the day feeding the old matrix through their habitual thoughts, emotions, and reactions. This split existence is what keeps souls trapped between dimensions. They have one foot in the old world and one foot in the new world, but they never fully commit to either reality. The choices you make during this time will determine which timeline becomes your permanent reality. You cannot remain in the transition zone indefinitely. This is not meant to create fear or pressure. This is meant to create clarity and urgency. The opportunity for conscious timeline selection is a gift, a chance to actively participate in creating your future rather than being a passive victim of circumstances. Mastering timeline hygiene begins with conducting what the councils call an energy audit of your daily life. You examine every input that affects your consciousness, the media you consume, the conversations you engage in, the environments you spend time in, the thoughts you entertain, the emotions you cultivate, the people you interact with. All of these inputs are either raising your vibration or lowering it, feeding your desired timeline, or feeding the timeline you want to transcend. The energy audit reveals patterns that most souls are completely unconscious of. You might discover that your morning news consumption is programming you with fear and anxiety for the rest of the day. You might realize that certain relationships consistently drain your energy and lower your vibration. None of these discoveries should create judgment or shame. They should create clarity and motivation for change. Every moment of every day, you're either investing in the reality you want to experience or investing in the reality you want to transcend. It's about becoming selective with your energy and attention, investing them in ways that support your evolution rather than hinder it. The power of energetic editing becomes apparent very quickly. Within days of implementing these changes, most souls notice shifts in their energy levels, their emotional states, their clarity of thought, and their overall life experience. This isn't magic. It's the natural result of aligning your energy with your intentions. But energetic editing is just the beginning. The deeper work involves what the councils call vibrational sovereignty, taking complete responsibility for your energetic signature and refusing to allow external circumstances to determine your internal state. This is where most starseeds encounter their greatest challenge and their greatest opportunity for growth. Developing vibrational sovereignty requires practice, patience, and persistence. Every moment you maintain your chosen frequency despite external pressure, you strengthen your capacity to remain sovereign in all circumstances. You become an immovable mountain of consciousness, unshaken by the storms of the old paradigm. This is what the councils have been preparing you for, the ability to hold steady in the new earth frequency while the old world continues its dissolution around you. Your very presence becomes a transmission of what's possible when a soul fully commits to conscious evolution. Understanding this interconnection changes everything about how you approach your spiritual practice. You're not just meditating for personal peace, you're contributing to planetary peace. You're not just healing your own trauma, you're healing collective trauma. This realization often brings up feelings of responsibility that can feel overwhelming at first. But the councils want you to understand that you wouldn't be receiving this information if you weren't ready to act on it. Your soul chose to incarnate at this time, specifically to participate in this cosmic shift. The feelings of doubt or inadequacy that arise are simply the old programming trying to keep you small and powerless. The truth is that you are a galactic being temporarily housed in a human body, participating in the most significant evolutionary event in cosmic history. Your awakening matters more than you can possibly imagine, and your commitment to conscious timeline creation has effects that ripple throughout dimensions. As you begin to implement timeline hygiene practices, you'll notice that life starts responding to you differently. Opportunities that were previously invisible become obvious. Relationships that were stagnant begin to flow. Resources that were scarce become abundant. This isn't coincidence. It's the natural result of aligning your energy with the timeline of your highest potential. The old timeline operates on the principles of limitation, separation, and struggle. The new timeline operates on the principles of abundance, connection, and ease. As you transition from feeding the old timeline to feeding the new timeline, your external experience naturally shifts to reflect this change in your energetic signature. But here's where many souls get confused or discouraged. The transition period can be challenging. As you begin to withdraw your energy from the old timeline, you might experience a period of apparent loss or disruption. Old patterns dissolve. Outdated relationships fall away. Situations that no longer serve your highest good naturally come to completion. This can feel disorienting or even frightening if you don't understand what's happening. The councils want you to understand that this dissolution phase is not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something is very right. You're making space for new experiences, relationships, and opportunities that match your elevated frequency. The old must be released to make room for the new. Trust the process, even when it feels uncomfortable or uncertain. During this transition phase, it's especially important to maintain your timeline hygiene practices. The temptation will be to return to old patterns of thinking and feeling when faced with uncertainty or change, but this is precisely when your commitment to conscious creation matters most. Every moment you maintain your chosen frequency during challenging times, you accelerate your transition to the new timeline. The councils have observed that souls who successfully navigate this transition phase emerge with capabilities and opportunities that seemed impossible from their previous perspective. Their intuitive abilities expand dramatically. Their creative potential multiplies. Their capacity for love and service deepens profoundly. They become living examples of what's possible when a soul fully commits to conscious evolution. This transformation is not theoretical or metaphorical. It's literal and practical. Souls who master timeline hygiene experience measurable improvements in every area of their lives. Their health improves because they're no longer feeding the timeline of illness and disease. Their relationships flourish because they're no longer feeding the timeline of separation and conflict. Their abundance increases because they're no longer feeding the timeline of scarcity and limitation. These changes don't happen overnight, but they happen more quickly than most souls expect when they commit fully to the process. The key is consistency rather than perfection. Every moment you consciously choose to feed your desired timeline, you're building momentum toward your complete transformation. Small, consistent choices compound into dramatic life changes over time. The councils want you to understand that you don't have to figure this out perfectly before you begin. Start where you are, with what you know, and allow the process to guide you toward greater clarity and capability. Your soul already knows how to do this. You're simply remembering what you've always known at the deepest level of your being. As you progress in your timeline hygiene practice, you'll begin to notice that you're less affected by external circumstances and more aligned with internal guidance. You'll find yourself naturally drawn to people, places, and experiences that support your evolution. You'll develop an instinctive sense of what feeds your desired timeline and what feeds the timeline you're releasing. This intuitive guidance is your soul's navigation system, helping you make choices that align with your highest potential. Trust these inner promptings even when they don't make logical sense to your mind. Your soul can see the bigger picture that your personality cannot yet perceive. Following your inner guidance is one of the most important aspects of successful timeline transition. The councils also want you to understand that timeline hygiene is not a solo practice. It's enhanced when shared with others who are committed to conscious evolution. Seek out community with fellow starseeds who understand the importance of feeding the new Earth timeline. Support each other in maintaining high frequencies and making conscious choices. Share resources, insights, and encouragement as you navigate this transformation together. Creating conscious community is itself an act of timeline hygiene. When souls gather in shared commitment to love, truth, and service, they create a field of coherence that makes it easier for everyone to maintain their highest frequency. You become stronger together than you could ever be alone. This is how the new Earth will be built, through conscious souls choosing to support each other's evolution, rather than compete for limited resources. As your timeline hygiene practice deepens, you'll begin to experience what the councils call timeline coherence, the state where your thoughts, emotions, words, and actions are all aligned with your desired reality. There's no split between your spiritual ideals and your daily choices. There's no contradiction between your inner work and your outer expression. You become a coherent frequency, broadcasting a clear signal to the universe about the reality you're choosing to experience. Timeline coherence is marked by several key characteristics. Your energy becomes more stable and less reactive to external circumstances. Your intuitive abilities strengthen significantly because you're no longer clouded by conflicting frequencies. Your manifestation abilities accelerate because you're no longer sending mixed signals to the universe. Your relationships deepen because you're showing up authentically, rather than wearing masks or playing roles. Most importantly, timeline coherence brings a deep sense of peace and purpose that doesn't depend on external validation or achievement. You know you're living in alignment with your soul's mission, regardless of what others think or how circumstances appear. This inner knowing becomes your anchor during times of collective chaos or uncertainty. The councils want you to understand that timeline coherence is not a destination, but a way of being that can be cultivated and maintained throughout your life. It's not about reaching some perfect state of consciousness and never wavering. It's about developing the ability to return to coherence quickly when you notice you've been pulled off course. This brings us to one of the most practical aspects of timeline hygiene, developing what the councils call course correction protocols. Simple practices you can use to realign with your desired timeline whenever you notice you've been feeding unwanted patterns. These protocols allow you to interrupt negative spirals quickly and redirect your energy toward your chosen reality. A basic course correction protocol might involve taking 3 conscious breaths, placing your hand on your heart, and asking yourself, what timeline am I feeding right now? And is this the reality I want to experience? This simple practice creates a pause that allows you to make a conscious choice about how to proceed, rather than being carried forward by unconscious momentum. More advanced course correction protocols might involve specific visualization techniques, energy clearing practices, or affirmative statements that help you shift your frequency quickly and effectively. The key is developing a toolkit of practices that you can access easily in the moment when you need to realign with your desired timeline. The councils emphasize that the ability to course correct quickly is more valuable than the ability to maintain perfect consistency. Souls who can catch themselves quickly when they drift off course and redirect their energy toward their chosen timeline often progress faster than souls who try to maintain rigid perfection, but take a long time to recover when they slip into old patterns. This teaches us that timeline hygiene is ultimately about developing a loving, compassionate relationship with your own consciousness. You're not trying to control or suppress your human experience. You're learning to guide it with wisdom and intention. You honor your emotions without being enslaved by them. You acknowledge your thoughts without being defined by them. You respond to circumstances rather than simply reacting from old programming. As your practice matures, you'll discover that timeline hygiene becomes less of a discipline and more of a natural expression of your awakened consciousness. You no longer have to force yourself to choose higher thoughts or more positive emotions. They arise naturally from your elevated state of being. You become someone who naturally feeds the timeline of love, abundance, peace, and freedom, because that's who you truly are. This transformation is what the councils call embodied mastery, the state where conscious choice becomes unconscious habit. where spiritual principles become practical wisdom, where inner development becomes outer service. You don't just know about higher consciousness, you live it, breathe it, and express it in every moment of your existence. Embodied mastery is characterized by several distinct qualities. You maintain emotional equilibrium regardless of external circumstances. You speak and act from wisdom rather than reactivity. You naturally attract opportunities and relationships that support your highest good. You serve others' awakening simply by being yourself. You experience life as a continuous flow of synchronicities and meaningful connections. Most importantly, embodied mastery brings a profound sense of fulfillment that comes from knowing you're living your soul's purpose. You're not searching for meaning or trying to figure out why you're here. You're actively expressing your unique gifts in service to the collective awakening. Your very existence becomes a transmission of possibility for all souls who are ready to remember their own divine nature. The councils want you to understand that embodied mastery is not reserved for special souls or advanced practitioners. It's the natural result of consistent timeline hygiene practice. Every soul who commits to feeding their desired reality rather than their default programming will eventually embody the frequency they've been cultivating. This is cosmic law, not spiritual theory. Your commitment to timeline hygiene is not just about improving your personal life. It's about participating in the birth of a new world. Every moment you maintain coherence with the new Earth frequency, you're making it easier for the collective consciousness to shift toward love, peace, abundance, and freedom. Your individual transformation is simultaneously a contribution to planetary transformation. The old world is dissolving because souls like you are withdrawing their energy from its patterns and investing that energy in the creation of something unprecedented in human history. You're not just healing from the past, you're creating a future that reflects humanity's highest potential. You're not just awakening to who you are, you're remembering who you came here to become. This is the critical next step for all starseeds. The conscious practice of timeline hygiene as a way of life, not just as a spiritual technique. It's the integration of cosmic consciousness into human experience. It's the embodiment of galactic wisdom in earthly form. It's the fulfillment of your soul's mission to anchor new Earth frequencies in physical reality. The councils see you clearly, beloved ones. They see your struggles, your doubts, your fears, and your magnificent potential. They know the challenges you face in a world that often seems hostile to awakened consciousness. They understand the loneliness that comes from being ahead of the collective curve. They witness your courage in continuing to choose love when fear surrounds you. But they also see something you might not see yet. They see your inevitable success. They see the timeline where you fully embody your galactic nature while walking on Earth. They see the reality where your every breath is a blessing to the planet. They see the future where your presence alone heals and inspires everyone around you. This timeline is not just possible, it's probable when you commit to conscious timeline creation. The window for this transformation is open now, but it will not remain open indefinitely. The cosmic cycles are moving, the energies are shifting, and the opportunity for conscious timeline selection must be seized while it's available. This is your moment, dear Starseed. This is your chance to step fully into the timeline of your highest destiny. Begin today. Begin now. Begin with the next choice you make about where to place your attention, how to respond to circumstances, what to feed with your precious life force energy. Every moment is a new opportunity to choose consciously rather than unconsciously, to create rather than react, to feed the timeline of your soul's deepest longings. If you need help becoming still, present, and rooted in manifestation readiness, Destiny Engine can reprogram your consciousness to stop feeding unwanted realities and start nurturing your highest destiny timeline. Using declassified CIA consciousness technology, it generates personalized sequences that eliminate unconscious energy leakage and install reception-ready programming. You can start with a $1 trial. The hardest thing you'll have to do is put on headphones, press play, and allow your consciousness to be reprogrammed to stop feeding unwanted realities and start nurturing your highest destiny timeline. This isn't software. This is declassified consciousness reprogramming technology that aligns you with abundance reception rather than limitation creation. The seeds are sprouting, and abundance is released. Get your Destiny Engine $1 trial now, before the manifestation window closes. Link in the description. The new Earth awaits your full participation. The Galactic family celebrates every step you take toward conscious timeline mastery. The cosmos itself rearranges to support souls who commit fully to their awakening. You are not alone in this process. You are surrounded by beings of light, who see your magnificence even when you cannot see it yourself. Trust the process. Trust your soul. Trust the perfect timing of your awakening. Trust that everything you need will be provided as you align more completely with your chosen timeline. Trust that your commitment to conscious evolution matters more than you can possibly imagine. The critical next step is no longer theoretical knowledge, it's practical application. Take what you've received here and implement it in your daily life. Watch as your reality begins to shift in response to your conscious choices. Notice how the universe responds when you take full responsibility for your creative power. You are ready for this, beloved Starseed. You have always been ready. The time for waiting is over. The time for full awakening has begun. Step boldly into the timeline of your highest potential, and watch as the new Earth emerges through your conscious participation in its creation. I am Seraphine, and on behalf of the Galactic Federation of Light, I honor your journey, I celebrate your awakening, and I witness your magnificent transformation. We love you beyond measure, and we are with you always as you birth the new world through your consciousness. The timeline of your dreams is waiting. Choose it consciously, feed it consistently, and watch it become your living reality. And so it is. And so you are. And so we begin.